You're exhausted. You might not even know exactly why, but the heaviness is there. It feels like you're carrying something no one else can see, as if it's your job to keep everything in order, to make everyone happy, avoid conflict at all costs, to always be gentle, patient, and polite. You grew up believing that being good was the right way to live, that good people eventually come out on top, that if you're kind, others will return the favor, that fairness, honesty, and humility would earn the world's respect. But what if all of that was just a comforting illusion? A sweet-sounding lie designed to keep you obedient, predictable, easy to manage. How many times have you stayed quiet just to keep things calm? How often have you shrunk yourself to avoid upsetting someone? How many moments did you let someone step over your boundaries? And still, you smiled and said, "It's fine." You swallowed your tears, your anger, your pride, all in the name of some fake virtue that only made people overlook you. Here's the hard truth. The world doesn't reward the nicest. It rewards those who know how to move smart. If you're listening now, chances are you felt this firsthand. You tried to be the good one, the peacemaker, the one who always understood, and slowly you began to see. The more you give, the less you're respected. The more you agree, the more they expect. The more you try to fit in, the more invisible you become. That's where Machiavelli enters the picture, not as the villain people make him out to be, but as someone who dared to speak openly about how power really works. He saw what most refuse to admit, that morality, when disconnected from reality, becomes a trap. That looking good isn't the same as being effective or worthy. This video is going to cut through the illusions. No filters, no sugarcoating. We're going to talk about why being a good person isn't enough. That doesn't mean becoming heartless or cruel. It means waking up from the fantasy that the world is fair. That virtue alone brings success. We're going to face the truth even if it stings, because as long as you live to please everyone, you'll always be in their control. A prisoner of your own kindness. If you're sick of being used, overlooked, and thrown aside, then maybe it's time to flip the script, to learn what no one ever taught you, and finally take back the reins of your life. So let's begin. Still think the world rewards goodness? Look around. Who gets admired the most? Who leads? Who commands respect? Are they the most giving, the most gentle, the most fair? Or are they the ones who think ahead, speak up and stand firm, the ones who can't be easily controlled? Here's the uncomfortable truth. The world doesn't run on kindness. It runs on usefulness. Machiavelli saw this long ago. He didn't write The Prince to teach people to be cruel. He wrote it to reveal how power really moves. And one of the harshest truths he shared was this: being good, it's not enough. Sometimes being good is the fastest way to be forgotten. You can live your whole life loyal, generous, and forgiving. You can give your all. You can help without expecting anything in return. But the moment you're no longer useful, you're left behind, forgotten, replaced, silenced. And the worst part, no one even feels bad about it, because your value isn't measured by how good you are. It's measured by what you bring to the table, by the influence you hold, by the impact you create. Notice how the nice ones are always trying to catch up, always explaining themselves, trying to prove they're enough, while the ones who draw the line, who speak clearly and firmly, they're the ones who are listened to. They're the ones with presence, with space, with voice. Why? Because kindness without boundaries is mistaken for weakness. People who never challenge anything, who never say no, they aren't seen as strong. They're seen as tools, not people. You can exhaust yourself trying to be everyone's favorite, but if you carry no weight, no consequence, you'll be used without hesitation. It's tough to hear, but that's the truth. Machiavelli once said, "If a leader has to choose, it's better to be feared than loved." What did he really mean? That true respect comes when people know you can act, that you have power, that if you're pushed, you'll push back, that you're not just another piece to be moved around. This doesn't just apply to rulers, it applies to you. If your goal is to always be pleasant, you'll always be seen as easy to replace. Not because you lack value, but because fading into the background never gets rewarded. It's time to ask where this need to be accepted comes from. Because behind constant kindness, there's often something deeper hiding, a quiet force that may have been holding you back for years, and that's exactly what we're going to explore next. In the next part, we'll dive into the psychology of people-pleasing and reveal why being nice can actually be a mask for fear. If this is resonating with you, hit the subscribe button and stay connected. Thank you for supporting the channel. The truth is, you weren't born needing approval. That was taught to you. Worse, it was conditioned into you. Since childhood, you were trained to trade pieces of yourself for acceptance. Fake smiles, silenced wants, swallowed words, all just to hear "good job" or "you're so nice," from "don't do that, it's rude," to "be quiet, be polite." You slowly learned to shape yourself into what others wanted. But here's what no one told you. Constantly pleasing people is a trap, a mental cage built from fake praise and hidden punishments. You were taught, if you make others happy, you'll be loved. If you say no, if you get angry, if you speak up, you'll be rejected. So, your mind did what it had to do. It adapted. But what began as survival became surrender. Now, you can't say no without guilt. You feel like everyone's happiness depends on you, even if it drains you inside. You feel frustrated, but you don't show it. You get let down, but you forgive too quickly. You wear yourself out trying to be who others want you to be, not because it's who you are, but because you learned that's how to feel safe. But here's a hard truth. This isn't kindness. This is fear. Fear of being rejected, fear of not being loved, fear of being seen as difficult, selfish, or wrong, fear of showing your true self, your wants, your anger, your limits, your voice. And that fear has slowly turned into self-sabotage. You hide behind what society praises, but deep down it's breaking you. The saddest part? You don't even know it's happening. You call it empathy, but really it's fear of conflict. You call it being understanding, but it's fear of being left behind. You call it kindness, but it's fear that you'll never be enough. That kindness is just a mask, a quiet way to protect yourself from pain. But this mask is expensive. It smothers your truth. It silences your strength. And over time, it chips away at your dignity. If you keep wearing it, it won't just cover you, it will become you. And one day you'll look in the mirror and see a stranger. But there's a way to turn this around. And to do that, we need to learn from someone who saw behind the mask, who understood how image, power, and perception truly work. Machiavelli. In the next part, we're going to get straight to the point. We'll learn what the prince can teach us about how to stop being a prisoner of appearances and start being respected for who we really are. If you've been living as a good person, hoping others will notice your values and integrity, it's time to stop. True kindness isn't submission. It's not silencing yourself to make others comfortable. It's not saying yes when your soul is screaming no. True kindness has spine. It says, I can be generous, but I won't be used. I can be forgiving, but I won't be fooled twice. I can care, but not at the cost of my self-respect. And this is the middle path. Not blind obedience, not cold-heartedness, but conscious power, the strength to act with heart and with boundaries. But here's the truth. This path begins with self-honesty. It begins the moment you stop pretending that swallowing your voice is noble, pretending that letting people walk over you is moral, pretending that your silence is peace when it's actually pain. There is a fatal confusion that ruins lives. The belief that being good means being passive, that you must tolerate everything, forgive everything, endure everything, or else you're a bad person. But that's not goodness. That's self-betrayal. That's emotional codependency wrapped in the language of virtue. You've seen it. You've lived it. You've been the one who gives too much, who expects people to treat you the way you treat them, and ends up confused and broken when they don't. That's not kindness. That's a setup for heartbreak. So understand this. You can be kind and commanding, compassionate and respected. You can love deeply without losing yourself. True kindness is knowing when to walk away. It's knowing who deserves your energy. It's giving with discernment. And when you live like this, something changes. People feel your presence. They feel your boundaries without you even speaking. Because you're no longer performing kindness. You're embodying dignity. Machiavelli wasn't against virtue. He was against illusion. He knew that in a world full of predators, kindness without strength is just fresh meat. So the question is not whether you're good or bad. The question is, are you whole? Are you grounded enough to be kind without being conquered? Are you wise enough to stop playing a game you were never meant to win by being soft? Because the world won't change for you, but you can change how you move through it. And in the next part, we'll talk about how to do exactly that. How to stop being nice without becoming a person you hate. How to reclaim your power without sacrificing your soul. This is not about choosing between being loved or feared. It's about being respected by others and, most importantly, by yourself. And that respect, it starts the moment you decide, I will no longer shrink to be seen. Being good doesn't mean being a people-pleaser who's always smiling, always giving, always bending for those who wouldn't even lift a finger for you. That's not goodness. That's self-abandonment. It's emotional dependence, pretending to be morality. Naivety believes that others will treat you the way you treat them. It believes the world is fair, and that if you live with integrity, people will recognize and reward it. Naivety expects gratitude, expects fairness, expects respect, and it ends up broken because it sees goodness in people who never had it. But real kindness? It's something else. It's strong, it says no when needed. It walks away without guilt. It understands that not everyone deserves your time, your energy, or your best. Giving yourself endlessly to people who give you nothing back isn't generous. It's wasteful. You can still be just. You can be kind. You can live with integrity. And you can also be respected. You can be someone who commands attention, who knows what's acceptable and what crosses the line. Machiavelli might sound ruthless to modern ears, but he didn't despise virtue. He despised delusion. He understood one thing very clearly. In a world full of predators, kindness without strength is just fresh meat in the middle of the jungle. Now ask yourself, is your kindness protecting you, or is it exposing you? Is it making you stronger, or is it quietly destroying you? Because if your version of being good means swallowing injustice, settling for crumbs, and blaming yourself for feeling angry, you're not being good, you're being controlled. But there is a way out. There is a middle path where you don't have to give up your soul and you don't have to kneel for anyone. A place where you move with clarity, with courage, with emotional intelligence. And that's exactly what we're going to explore next. How to stop being nice without becoming bitter. How to reclaim your power without betraying your heart. If you want to restore your self-respect, this is where the real transformation begins. Many people, when they wake up to their own submission, fall into another trap. They think the only way to stop being exploited is to become the opposite. Cold, distant, even cruel. This is the rebound effect. After years of being used, you believe that detachment is strength, that emotional walls are freedom. But that's not strength, that's fear dressed up as control. That's trauma pretending to be power. Real power is different. Real power is being whole. It's not about being good or bad, it's about being real. Looking in the mirror and saying, I can be kind, but I will never again be passive. I can be compassionate, but I will never again be permissive. I can offer my hand, but I will never again beg to be seen. So how do you stop being nice without losing who you are? First, know that your voice matters. You've been conditioned to believe that speaking up is selfish, that setting boundaries is wrong, that disagreeing means you're difficult. That's a lie. You know what's selfish? Expecting you to stay silent while others walk all over you, raising your voice, saying, "I don't accept this." That's not selfish. That's dignity, that's self-respect. Second, learn to say no. There is power in a calm, unshakable no. It doesn't need to be shouted. It doesn't need to be explained. It just needs to be clear, because people who have limits are respected, and people who don't are used. Third, watch who gets uncomfortable when you change. This is your truth teller. If someone says, "You're different, you've changed, you're selfish now," it's because your old submission served them. Your silence benefited them. And now that you're changing, you're breaking the unspoken contract they depended on. And yes, that will make them uncomfortable, but don't let that stop you. That discomfort is your progress. Fourth, stop trying to be understood by everyone. Not everyone will get your evolution. Not everyone will like your boundaries. That's okay. You do not owe loyalty to the version of you they invented. You owe loyalty to your truth, to your peace, to your healing. Fifth, trade the need for approval for a commitment to authenticity. Because when you start living honestly, you may lose a few people, but you gain something far more valuable. Your self-respect. And that kind of respect, Machiavelli didn't write to teach you how to be cruel. He wrote to teach you how to stop being naive. And the greatest naivety of all is believing that being nice is enough to be respected in this world. It's not. It takes courage to stop being a pleaser. It takes strength to be who you are without asking for permission. But the journey doesn't end here, because now comes the decisive moment, the moment you must choose. Will you keep sabotaging yourself, or will you finally take the reins of your own life? Let's be brutally honest. How long are you going to keep pretending? Pretending to be the nice guy, the understanding one, the agreeable one, the one who sacrifices his voice, his energy, his dignity, just to protect an image that doesn't even belong to you, an image others expect of you. Do you really think that's noble? Do you think this is virtue? It's not. It's prison, a psychological cage, an emotional sentence, a cell decorated with fake compliments, where you're rewarded for being harmless, for being predictable, for not being a threat. But let me tell you something most people will never say to your face. No one is coming to free you. No one is going to thank you for your endless sacrifices. No one is going to hand you the respect you deserve and say, "Now you can finally rest." That moment doesn't exist, because as long as you allow yourself to be used, there will always be someone ready to use you. This isn't malice, it's reality. And reality doesn't care about your good intentions. You can keep trying to be the ideal good person. Calm, patient, understanding, always available, always saying yes. But if you do, prepare for a future filled with frustration, resentment, and invisibility. Or you can wake up, you can decide right now that your kindness will no longer be a collar around your neck, that you will act with intention, with presence, with boundaries, that you will choose when to be generous and to whom, that you will no longer give what you don't receive, that you will no longer live like a dog, begging for scraps of affection. The truth is harsh, but it's simple. The world respects those who respect themselves. And you will only be free when you stop asking for permission to exist. So let me ask you, when was the last time you said no without guilt? When was the last time you put yourself first? When was the last time you did something for you without wondering what others would think? Tell me in the comments. Tell me the moment you realized that being nice was destroying you. Because this conversation isn't over. There are thousands of people trapped in the same prison, and your voice might be the spark that sets someone free. And if this video made you rethink your life, your choices, your self-worth, then you need to watch the next one. Trust me, it's important, because the journey has just begun.